And hello, good people of the internet. It is I, Tommy Kelly, and this is Adventures in Woo Woo. This is going to be the February 47th one-card Divinations videos that I do every month for the good people over on Patreon. So we have a number of questions, and we'll probably just get straight into it this month. I'm sure you're quite sick of me with my random updates at the beginning of these things. I will say one thing, the new chair, it's class. The last one was falling apart, but due to lockdowns it was hard to get a new chair, because only certain things are allowed to be sold to you at the minute, which is weird and stupid. So yes, 47s, one cards. So I try to ask the patrons not to do anything too personal or too long or too big that would you wouldn't really get the full answer for in one card. But we'll see how it goes. Tyrone. How receptive are the gods regarding my declaration as a devout Christian and exclusive follower of Christ Jesus, though I am an occultist? So this is the thing an awful lot of people kind of come with. When they get into the occult and stuff, they have a previous incarnation of belief systems and stuff like that, and are trying, of course, to augment or change or evolve or in some way add to the thing they have, but they feel that they're in some way also, I suppose, damaging or hurting the previous, beliefs or whatever. And it's even worse if you have kind of things ongoing at the same time, if you're trying to be an occultist and a Christian. Of course, you could just become a mystic and then you have the best of both worlds. So, you didn't ask me, Tyrone. Let's see what the 47s say. So, the Explorer. The Explorer is, of course, I'm putting my glasses on and off because I know it kind of does weird things with the light, but I also have to be able to read. This Explorer is about expanding your horizons internally in consciousness, and rather than say the Adventurer, which is more expanding your horizons, say physically, although there is an overlap, of course. So this, I would suggest, is how receptive are the gods to see it as you're trying to expand your consciousness. You're trying to expand your worldview, you're trying to expand your spirituality, you're trying to not necessarily remove or replace anything more, but it's an expansion, it's an improvement upon, improvement's not really the word, building upon the structure you already have. That's how to see it. So I would say, happy enough, they understand that you're trying to broaden how you see the world and how you see creation. So, cool. KCH, what should I be focusing on? The moon. Now the moon's an interesting one because there's a number of different ways you can look at it depending on the question. Being what you should focus on in this one, I would say what you should focus on is on the light and the darkness, on the one thing that even if, and I don't know what your situation is, but say your situation is catastrophic, it's really bad, it's terrible, everything's falling apart, that you should focus on the one thing that's positive within that rather than focusing on the whole world falling apart. Much easier to say than do, but it's that kind of idea of, just turn and move in the right direction, even if it's the smallest kind of step. Even if it's just saying, rather than this is all falling apart, or even acknowledging, but at least I still have a house, or at least I still have a friend, or at least, I have $10 in my pocket, whatever. There's something that you can at least start turning and moving in the direction that is better than the situation you were in, as a thing. Now, that doesn't, that's only if the world's falling apart. Maybe your world isn't falling apart and, life is generally good. So it would be point at the thing that is the best in your surroundings, in your life that's going on. What is the best thing? What is the thing that's... Neil Gaiman has a really good speech where he talks about moving towards his mountain, and his mountain is obviously his goals and his dreams and his desires and, ambitions and all that. And asking when opportunities arise, or when something came up and someone asked him to do something, it was like, does this get me closer to my mountain, or does this get me further away from my mountain? And if it got him closer to his mountain, he would do it. And if it went further away from his mountain, he wouldn't. So I think in this case, the moon is saying to look at the thing that gets you closer to your mountain, rather than the thing that takes it away. Now, just a point on the moon is also a false light at times, and it represents hope, but hope in the kind of thing of that it can easily be, feel let down, and your hopes can be dashed, and that can make you feel worse. And that had you not had the hope, then, if that the good thing was going to happen and then the good thing didn't happen, then it's kind of the hope is the thing that caused the pain and the distress or whatever. So it's an odd one, it depends on the circumstance. In this one, I think it's just point towards your mountain rather than trying to, point at any kind of lies or falseness or anything like that. And even if in your thing it has a kind of a note towards the false, it's still, you have to start by going towards the false light in order to find the sun or whatever thing. So go towards the thing that gets you closer to your mountain. And that's what you should be focusing on. Abraxas. Who am I to others? And there's the card jumping out. The media. So that's interesting. The media would obviously suggest, good PR or perception, but there's a kind of an idea of that it's a cultivated perception. So maybe you're seen as like, are you the cool friend that everyone has? That guy who is a bit different. He's into magic. He's into the occult or something like that, and it's almost seen as good PR to have around, or it's kind of, that like the kind of thing like where you go, well, I have this type of friend, so that makes me kind of cool. You're the person who makes the people around you cooler because of your slightly different view of the world. That's what I would suggest. Wendy. Which is the best path to increase income and enjoyment, combining my current hypnotherapy exorcism services with my underworld project or keeping them separate? Now, that's going to be hard to do in one card, so what I'm going to do is just, what does Wendy need to know right now regarding her income and enjoyment? And we have the Tinker. So, Tinker, as we know, has a H in it, but I'm Irish and from a certain part of Ireland where I can't pronounce H's, especially when they come after T's. But it's about not going with your gut feeling. It's not kind of trying to sense it. It's the opposite of the seer. It's the thing that I suppose we're told in the occult, magic, New Age, whatever it is, the word that we describe it as, you should always go with your gut. And in this, the Thinker would say, no, you have to rationally think it out. What is the best decision on paper? Have a proper think about it. Graphs, infographics, budgets, all of these type of things, the decision that you need to make, or the best decision to get to do your increased income and enjoyment, will come from not necessarily going with the flow or going with what makes you feel good or what feels right, but what actually looks best on paper. Rationally, thinking it out, logically, have a think then and see where you should go. Okay, Ladina Bond. What do I need to do for my bum knee? I'm sorry to hear you're having knee problems. Okay. Okay, as per usual, that's the moon, sorry. We have, for the audio people, we have a serpent that will appear a number of times when I do these. Every time it happens, one will come up, and in this case, it's the moon. So, again, we have the two options here, and you're going to have to probably decide for yourself. One is, look to the thing that's good. I remember years ago, there was a band called the Wild Hearts. I think they're still going. In fact, I hadn't got an album out a couple of years. Anyway, that's besides the point. But the bass player had a really bad knee, and like he could barely walk, whatever, and he's been interviewed, and he said, well, how's this affecting? He goes, oh, it's okay. I have another, I've one good knee, so it's good, so it could be much worse. And I think he's genuinely saying it and laughing about it. So there's that. The moon could point to go, well, maybe, that all things considered, focus on the thing that's right about you, the rest of your body that works, so your other knee or these type of things, and have that kind of general pivot towards the positive rather than negative. Now, of course, that doesn't help. The other thing that might be a factor in here, that the reason you think you have a sore knee mightn't be the reason you have a sore knee, like the way things are all connected, and that your knee is actually, when you're saying your right leg, it's your left ankle that's actually the culprit. Or, when you have a sore back, it can turn out to be your hip, or it can be, your feet, whatever. I'm not saying I have any medical knowledge around these things for you, Ladina, but just to kind of think of maybe the thing that you're think is the problem or is causing it mightn't be, or maybe even the thing that you think is helping it is the thing that helps it. It's not necessarily that it's making it worse, but not helping it in the way you want. So what I would suggest, this is saying to have a pivot towards the positive, what's good, and just try, walk in the general direction of that, and to try and, try something new towards us, rather than just relying on the thing that you have been doing or been told to do, and see if some new idea can come to you around what would be the best way to approach it. But there seems to be in some way some falsehood around it, which could be, if you want to go the whole Louise Hay kind of route of it, she would say that your needs are to do with support and you don't feel supported, and that's why you end up with knee problems. There might be something in that. So where's your illusions around feeling supported when you don't actually feel supported? Christopher Moore, which of servants can best aid me in the great work at this point in time? And this one is jumping out for me. The healer. So you maybe need to take things easy, recuperate, relax, regenerate, heal yourself a bit. We often think of the healers in a physical capacity, but of course there's emotional, mental, spiritual stuff that's going on with the healer as well that we can heal. So yeah, spend a bit of time working with the healer and see what bits and pieces that you need to heal. Merrily. For the magic working the husband and I are planning on doing, is there anything we should know beforehand? The depleted. So before magical working, you might be going into it with not enough energy for what you want to accomplish. And if that is the case, only you would know that you might need to spend some time before you do it, getting more into the zone of it. And this is like the whole thing of like why people used to fast or to give up, sex, meat, wine, all of the fun things. Before doing the magical work, as it would say, to prepare yourself to increase your energy before you actually went and did the thing that you want to do, and not to kind of just jump into it too quick, hoping that you will generate enough energy within the magic working itself to get where you want to. You might need a bit more preparation on the energetic front. That's what it feels like it's saying to me. And also with the depleted, be aware of burnout and don't do things if you're not, don't do things if you need to rest. Don't work if you need to rest. Don't stay up all night if you need to sleep. Swoon. What can I do to remove the block that is shutting down all my household efforts to become financially stable? Okay, so what do I do to remove the block that is shutting down all my household efforts to become financially stable? So something in your house or something around what's going on is blocking everyone, not just you. So here we go. The librarian. Okay, there's some information you're missing that you need to gather. You need to, you don't have it at hand. There's something that is learnable, that's researchable. There's something I'm just not getting about this that might make a bit more sense to you. It's like there's a skill, but it's not a skill. There's knowledge that you don't have that would help you in this situation. It's like, I'll tell you, it'd be like this. I'm not saying this is your problem, but an example would be that, say, by the end of the month, I never have any money. But what you need to do is learn how to budget. You know what I mean? Rather than earn more money. You need to learn something or have more knowledge around finances than you currently have, and that leads then to what it is you want. But the block is around possibly not knowing how to budget. That's an obvious one. That might be the case though, or not knowing how to do your taxes, or not knowing how to invest, or something like that. There's some bit of knowledge that you need to get in order to get to where you want. So have a look at that. Okay, Craig. We talked about this question a bit behind the scenes, so we're just going to go with how is my friend Safiko, and just see what happens. But we're verging into, I suppose, a bit too personal territory, but here we go. The Fortunate. There you go. How is your friend Safiko? Doing well. That's the best answer we can do on that. given the kind of, sorry for being vague for people who don't know what's going on, but yeah. So we had a question then the last time when I was doing the question and answer ones that kind of came up, but just didn't fit in because it was not the divination. It's from Pamela. Pamela, I won't go through your whole question because again, it's more bordering into the personal information thing. And I also, you know, because you didn't put it up publicly, I don't want to talk about it. So basically what I'm just going to do is the question is, what do you need to know right now regarding the situation you're in? That's the fairest thing I think we can do. So, let me see. The road opener. So the road opener is, while it's also a case of, you know, removing obstacles, you know, the classic Ganesh thing of removing the obstacles from your way, that's given that there's a presupposition in that you know where you want to go, okay? So that it's like, I want to have this situation happen in this kind of way, or this would be the best thing, but there's obstacles in my way, I need to get them removed. But there's another kind of more classical, I suppose, hoodoo possibly, sense of the road opener is opening roads or opening new areas or new places or new ways of doing things that you haven't remotely considered at all, or just wouldn't come into your frame of mind. It's like when you learn some new information and it kind of opens a door to something completely different that you wouldn't have normally done. A kind of classic example would be, you want to be an artist and someone offers you a job in a computer shop or something, and you know, you take it, you know, thinking, well, I'll do it for a while, but it's not what I really want to do. And you go to the computer shop and it turns out that was something that you much preferred, and you get into graphics and design, and you end up being much happier. Now, terrible example because that rarely happens. Most times you get to the computer shop and hate the job because you really want to be an artist. But it's kind of, life can sometimes throw you in a way and make you see something that you don't even know that is something you would like. So with regards to your situation, I would say there's probably stuff that you're not even remotely considering here that is a solution, in that it's not either this or either that, or here's all my options, and it's just kind of to throw it out a bit wider, a bit more. You know, I kind of ask for inspiration in a sense around the whole thing of what are other options here, what are things I'm not even remotely considering, what you know, almost like you don't let them enter your head because it just doesn't, you know, that's not what I want, you know, that's not what's done, or that's not how these things usually happen. Just kind of throw a wider kind of net or a bigger gamut of, you know, of expectation or allowability, and see what you can get, rather than kind of contracting it a bit into, there's only a certain number of things that can happen, and see what that kind of goes. So it's just like, let it unfold a bit more, maybe sit with it a bit more, and let's, you know, see what else kind of comes out of it, because being with the road opener kind of would suggest that there's avenues and options that you're not even considering yet that are open to you. Literally, the road is open in different ways and you're just not looking at that particular avenue. Yeah, so was there any other questions? Oh yes, there was one as well from last time from Spirit. Will JL and LD permanently get off the commission as I desire? So this is going to be yes or no. And here we have the Adventurer. So yes, it's the positive card, the Adventurer. So it's is it the thing as you desire? Yes, with the sense of probably not in the way that you expect it to be, and that it will involve some sort of ride, in the sense of some sort of excitement or some sort of new territory, or doing something that normally, you know, you have to put yourself out there in some way, but in a good way, positive type way, not in a kind of a negative way. So yeah, different questions than normal. We get some good ones. Some ones again that are tough to answer in one sort of question. Again, around different things that are too personal, or just that I'm like certain questions I'm just not comfortable asking because it's answering. Because there's a thing I have with divination is that it's It's not fortune telling for me, in the sense of it's not telling you your future, and it's not saying a definite yes or a no. You know, it's like, will my love come back? It's, you know, will my ex-boyfriend still love me? Yes or no, you know, or am I going to meet someone new? And it's more a kind of a different approach or a different perspective. Or have you thought of it this way? You know, here's something that you might be considering within your kind of question or within your scenario. And that, rather than any kind of prediction. So when it comes to questions that are straight prediction of A or B, I feel less comfortable in them, because people can act, and I know myself, having done a lot of, or having got divination, that I can let it kind of get in on me and think it's the truth. And kind of, therefore, it kind of creates it, in a sense, that if you believe something to be true, then, you know, that's what you're aiming at, you know? It's like that whole driving thing when you're learning to drive, where the driving instructor will say, you know, make sure you're looking at the place you want to turn, because you have a tendency to go in the direction that you're looking. And if the divination comes up and it's telling you something, and you've kind of installed that into you as, you know, as a truth, then that's the direction you're looking. And I'm very hesitant in that. I always see divination as advice from a friend, as if you're just sitting in a coffee shop. Remember when you used to sit in coffee shops with people? Before you weren't allowed near anyone, and, you know, just they would say, oh, I'm having trouble with my brother, he's doing this, and they would give you advice, and or they would give you a perspective, or they would show back the thing you were saying, or that kind of thing. But you weren't considering it, you know, ineffable, or not ineffable. You weren't considering it. You know, it's the word of God. Okay, what that word I'm trying to think of, that it's not capital T truth. It's not kind of, you know, infallible is the word I'm thinking of, not ineffable. Similar words though. Similar looking words. The meaning is quite different. You know, that you wouldn't, if you've got advice from a friend, even a learned friend, even someone who's, even if you're you know, an expert and an authority on something, you don't fully think it as the word of God and the only way. And if this is, you know, predicts something from the future, going, say some economist predicts something for the future, it doesn't necessarily mean it's true, and you can kind of get caught up in that. And that's a kind of a long way around of saying that take everything from a divination, mine, yours, all of these things, as advice from a friend, as guidance from someone who has a different perspective than you, as a different part of your brain that might allow you to look at your problem or your scenario in a different way, and don't think of it as capital T truth, or, you know, something that's definitely going to happen. Don't put all your money on it, you know, all in black. Don't do that. That just kind of be aware of it. That's kind of all I wanted to say around that. And yeah, so we do these 1-card divinations every month, usually at the beginning of the month. We also do a question and answer, where you send me your questions and I try to answer them to some sort of satisfactory degree. We do the podcast around here. Me and Spud do the Tasta podcast, which is Tommy and Spud talk about, where we talk about certain, you know, different subjects every kind of week, after a kind of preamble of general thoughts. Usually we watch a documentary, and that kind of sparks a bit of disagreement or agreement or discussion around different things. Every now and again I do a magic people podcast, where I just talk to someone, usually just kind of an everyday person who uses magic in their job or in whatever they do, rather than, you know, necessarily like the standard occult podcast, where it's someone who's, you know, doing a course, trying, you know, YouTube, or writing a book or whatever, just, you know, normal people. That's not to say that people who are on Magic People haven't written a book, have a YouTube channel or a course, but it's just kind of more of an interesting approach, just to kind of have, how do people do magic in the normal run of things, rather than trying to be, you know, the next Aleister Crowley. And Spud has a new podcast out. There's 2 episodes out so far. It's called Lieber Spud. And he's going to be doing the opposite thing, where he's going to talk to people who have books out, or trying to promote something, or have a particular expertise in one area. He's done one on Druidry, and the latest one is with Duncan Barford of the Baptist Head fame, the website him and Alan Chapman did over a decade ago at this point. And that's really good. You should check that out. So yes, good people of the internet, may you have a wonderful day. It looks like we're going to get snowed in here. I have received word from Spud that he actually is snowed in and can't move. So yeah, may your next week be snowy if that's the hemisphere you live in and it's something you enjoy. And may it be sunny if you live in the opposing hemisphere. So yes, have a great week, and I'll talk to you all soon, and be very well.